And commissioners, we are live.
Okay, it is 8:30. I call this meeting of the February 8th meeting of the Riley County Commission to order. Everybody joining the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everybody. Feeling a little bit like spring out there today for this early February. It'd be nice if it sticks around, but who knows? Did see an early forecast. There are calling for another, what is it, polar vortex or something?
Oh, they are?
Coming, yeah, towards the end of the month.
There's a little chance of snow this weekend.
Is it really? Well, I looked at the 10-day forecast out on the East Coast there, and it's supposed to stay in the 50s and or lower 60s, so it'll be good weather.
Another polar vortex, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. I guess cold.
Well, they said cold. They didn't say anything about moisture or precipitation, so I don't know. We're used to that here, aren't we? So, yeah. Okay, well, I don't have anything else to note this morning, so we'll move into some public comments this morning, if anybody has anything. I didn't see anybody on Zoom. Nothing? Nothing important then, okay. We'll close public comment off and we'll move to commissioner comments and start with Commissioner McKinley.
All right. Well, I didn't really have any county business. Next week, let's stack that. This week is, but I did have an enjoyable Monday evening at Bramlage. I was tired of stood the whole game, of course. You know, and it was always fun to beat them. And that fog was just as thick. And when it's dark at night and it's foggy, it's a challenge driving home. Nobody was going very fast.
I bet, I heard that, yeah. I heard it was painful getting out.
Yeah. That's all I've got.
Okay, I don't see Commissioner Foki on this morning, so hopefully she's recovering well from surgery. Let's see, as for me, it's been kind of a busy week. I've still got some things to tie up here before I leave tomorrow, but Monday I did meet with Anna up in her office, discuss some items, upcoming valuation process, legislative bills still active, pertaining to appraisals and things going on in the department, concerns from the public that have been coming up here recently. Had a good conversation, or I thought we did anyway. So appreciated the dialogue and being able to get some extra education and some things that informed on early through this process this year. I don't know where it's going to take us, but it'll take us somewhere as it typically does. I've gotten used to that through now 6 years of this process. So also Monday afternoon, I had a special interim policy committee meeting with NACO's Economic Development and Workforce Development Steering Committee, discuss policy resolutions and the upcoming meeting events and guest speakers that will be there at our policy and legislative conference in Washington, D.C. We'll be meeting all day Saturday to discuss those policy resolutions. A couple of them, it's a kind of wide array this year. There's a resolution on expediting the work authorization process for asylum seekers. I think this is just in reference to just the need for workers just in general. So it's just kind of expanding on some things that are already there. Fiscal year 2025 resolution for funding for the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, interim resolution on the Home Reauthorization Act. I don't see that one happening because those funds just aren't going to be available in general, but it'll be a robust discussion to say the least. I think we've got speakers coming from United States EDA, the SBA, Department of Commerce, Department of Treasury, all kind of mixed in there. It's like 9:30 to 11, and then there's a lunch break, and then there's a break in the middle of the afternoon, and then it shoots all the way out to like 4:30 or something. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if anybody noticed, but pretty much the whole eastern half of the state's been pretty quiet this week. I can't really imagine why or anything. I can't have anything to do with maybe coincidence of a certain score and game that happened Monday night. 11-0 overtime. Yeah, that's an amazing statistic when you break it down. Tuesday morning was rough for me. Had to go to work at 5. And I was up. Fog was something special Tuesday morning too. I got to about the 11-minute mark in the second half, and we were down by 11. And I thought to myself, well, maybe it's time to just turn it off, go to bed. And Jay Billis, who was the on call for ESPN, was like, "Oh, this is about the time Tyler Perry should start hitting some 3-pointers and make a game of it." And I thought, if we are going to get back into this game, this is about the time that would happen. And sure enough, boom. The first one he hit was from Topeka, and I thought, oh boy, here we go. And
It was
sure
about
enough,
right after he made that statement too.
Yeah.
He did it.
Really?
literally, he just walked down the court, boom, right. I mean, literally, right from Topeka on that part of Bramlage, and yeah, boom, came back down and did it again. I'm like, oh boy, yeah, I'm gonna have to stay up now. Then it went into overtime. I'm like, oh boy, yeah, it's gonna be rough. But fortunately, everybody around me are K-State fans, and we all understood. So we got absolutely nothing done on Tuesday, and we were happy about that. So anyway. Tuesday afternoon, I met with Mike Bowler, Riley County Noxious Weed and Household Hazardous Waste Director, chatted with him, got caught up on everything that's going on in the department here earlier in the year. Had the opportunity to hear and see what's going on in the department, talked a little bit about snow removal, some things they're working on with various townships, just other things out in the county, talking about some of the newest and latest innovations they're working on. They're having and I can't even pronounce the conference name, CWDAF, I think, conference that'll be here at the end of the month, and they give a keynote address for them. It's always here in Manhattan, so that's going to be fun. And then just talked about some other just brief things as well. So appreciated Mike taking time. Actually, it ended up being after hours on Tuesday, talk about those things. I appreciate the work and the efforts of the staff, because they do so much more than just noxious weeds and hazardous waste most of the time. So appreciate their work and efforts. Yesterday, I listened in on the Council of Foreign Affairs state and local officials webinar. It was titled Foreign Asset Ownership in the United States. Figured that might be a good one to listen to with everything that's going on, particularly here in Kansas with legislation. And Kansas was mentioned in the webinar as well. Several people talked about it. I didn't particularly really agree with the direction of the webinar, to be quite honest with you, but it was good just to kind of listen in. Several people, including, I'm going to chop this name up, Zowan Zulu from the Maurice Greensburg Fellow for China Studies at the CFR, discussed China's sovereign wealth funds and investments within the United States in consideration for policy responses to their foreign land ownerships and some of those trends in the United States. And then Elizabeth Blosser, Vice President of Governmental Affairs for the American Land Title Association, discussed recent legislation, including Kansas, several of the bills that are being worked through currently on U.S. property and foreign entities and individuals. Like I said, I thought it might be good just to pick up on that conversation for something to do. And I was at work yesterday, so I've got earbuds that are OSHA approved. Imagine that technology. So yeah, I was just listening to that while I was working. So question and answer session followed that, general discussion and opening remarks that were made on that. That's basically the week in a nutshell. So if you want to start some business, that'll be your time.
First item, need a motion to approve State of Kansas Municipal Investment Pool Resolution and update authorized users for Riley County MIP.
I'm trying to understand all of this.
So the municipal investment pool is just another option for Riley County to invest funds into, put our money into. And with Linda leaving, I just have to update the details.
Oh,
And so
okay,
it
gotcha.
requires a resolution to be signed. So that's all I'm doing is just taking Linda off and putting Donna on.
I didn't get the Linda part of that, so I thought, okay, that makes sense then. Okay.
And do you use it that often? I mean, usually you do CDs.
Yeah, we used it when the rates were really, really low. The MIP was actually the best option, so I had put some funds in the MIP last year. But typically, no, we haven't used it very much.
Okay,
So,
usually going through CDs and stuff like that
Correct.
through the banks.
correct.
That's kind of a when the banks were paying zero, they were paying
Correct.
0.001.
Exactly. Yeah, so but I just needed to update. I'm in the process of updating all the banks because Linda was on everything and.
Gotcha.
So this was the only one that actually required, an actual resolution to be signed.
Okay.
Okay, I move to approve the resolution, for the MIP, update the authorized users.
Go ahead and second that, and it's been moved and seconded, to approve, the new, municipal investment pool, resolution, and authorize users on that resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, please sign.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Bella. Next, commissioners, need a motion on tax roll corrections.
I move to approve tax roll corrections.
Second, it's been moved and seconded to approve the tax roll corrections. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, please sign. Thanks, Anna. You. Next, Riley County Employee Action Form for Paula Northern, new hire as needed election worker.
Getting pretty close to what you need, at least for March's primary.
Yeah, we have them, and we even have a fair amount of subs because that happens. And just like yesterday, we had our training and we lost the assistant supervising judge, so that's why we have subs and train them.
Okay.
And so, yeah, the big concern, of course, will be the general.
Sure.
Any topics for the joint city county meeting, commissioners?
You're gonna probably have to discuss that resolution at, board, for, Flint Hills, Mental Health Task Force, but looks like I saw there was housing initiative on.
I thought I had heard housing.
Yeah, okay. Guess we're gonna have to work through it at some point in time, so might as well be now.
Okay. Next, commission need a motion to approve payroll and accounts payable.
I move to approve payroll accounts payable.
I'll second. It's been moved and approved to approve payroll and accounts payable. All in favor?
Both sign, please. Any changes to the minutes, commissioners? Oops.
I move to approve the minutes as presented for February 5th meeting.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded to the approve the minutes as written from the February 5th meeting of the Lake County Commission. All in favor?
Tentative agendas, look, commissioners.
Good.
Any items for next week's press conference? Okay. Next, you will have Mr. Holman at 9:00.
Thank you, everybody.
Housing was the chamber committee that I'm on the roundtable meetings on Tuesday. That was the subject.
Did you get kicked out of the meeting?
I brought up some good points that made some people think, and actually one that was all for it originally said, I have those same concerns.
I've had a couple of dialogues along the same path with probably several people that were in that meeting too. Yeah. That meeting's here this month, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Said, do whatever you want to do, just be honest and open with what it's really doing to others, and then how those that do it can benefit so quickly.
Maybe I should just wait and hold my comments till later.
Yeah.
On a side note, I bought some Chiefs gear. Boy, it felt dirty. It felt like I was cheating.
They say there's a lot of activity in that regards of Chiefs gear.
Yeah, I'll wear some stuff Sunday. You know, I'm out there. I'll take some pictures of the Super Bowl party. I'll show everybody. Particularly the stations, the nacho bar and the pasta station, the sushi bar, and phew. I might just do sushi. Something healthy. There you go. Because so I feel like a pig again or something. I don't know. It's just a winter doldrums. I don't know.
It can happen a lot.
Yeah,
That can happen a lot.
I'm kind of lazy in my gym routine here since about Thanksgiving. So,
Yeah, just developing that habit.
yeah, just
Had on that same subject with the guy that's in charge of a home building association in town, had a good discussion on that you find interesting yesterday in our lobby.
part that everybody's going to have to understand is you can't get, particularly on the workforce side, and that's what the city, I believe, is really discussing. If you don't get that housing down around $200,000, it's pointless. It's absolutely 100% pointless. And everything that I'm seeing through formulas, it's not close. You're not gaining anything. Regardless of what program, what grant, what set of funds, whether it's state, federal, you're not gaining.
The biggest thing, the biggest revelation yesterday that I brought up concern with, and a guy that's a heavy hitter in town who was very in favor of it early on, agreed with me afterwards and said it was his concern as well, is they can build it at whatever that number is, 200, move a family in there. That family can then sell it, and then it's out of affordable housing because they are not limited on the sales price.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a temporary fix for however long that is. Then it's out of the affordable housing that you were trying to resolve, but yet you've still got all those tax benefits for 20 to 25 years.
How long are we talking about? tax.
Huh?
We're talking about 20 years on the tax.
Yeah. 20, 25 years is basically a TIF to pay off for that infrastructure to build them cheaper.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody can live there for the year and turn around and sell it.
Market price.
30% more than what it was, whatever, however much.
You think some builders and
Yeah,
some
yeah.
investors and real estate people aren't going to figure that out?
And at the end of the day, I'm not against those people. I get that, but what's the real issue that we're trying to solve here?
Well, you're not solving the issue. You're trying to
It's not
solve.
right. It's pretending yourself.
And that's what I pointed out. And after I had stated that, someone else said, that's my concern as well.
I think I would probably prefer it if you're going to have to subsidize it, particularly with public funds. That you probably really get more of the nonprofits that are geared towards that to work through those challenges, because they kind of know how to do it from start to finish all the way through.
There are organizations that are designed to do
Yeah,
that stuff.
exactly.
Local governments aren't.
Exactly.
And those organizations have parameters. When someone moves, they can fill it with affordable housing families.
The other thing that I think everybody has to recognize too is there's the two major challenges right now are, okay, we don't have enough housing, got that. That issue is going to take care of itself, because as the baby boomer generation kind of works through housing, whether they kind of downsize or as nature takes its course, that housing. Wait a minute. What's he talking about? Well, I was going to use other adjectives.
Clancy's
but I'm
looking
gonna
pretty
be
healthy.
nice. They all eventually pass away. So as those numbers come down, there won't be as many numbers coming into it. But the question is that housing that's currently in the market now going to be wanted and desirable by that younger generation when the time comes? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know that generation knows the answer to that. And if it's not, is that housing, can it be recreated? Can it be remodeled or whatnot to service those needs? I mean, that's just an answer we don't have currently. But it'll be available. The second question that has to be answered is affordability. And I think we already all know the answer to that question, that it won't be. It just won't be. And if we don't figure out the answer to that question, we're not getting anywhere. We're just not getting anywhere.
And the thing is, like Greg said, there are organizations that do specialize that and do it well. And then I'm just aware, because my youngest is looking at potentially getting something, that there are financial institutions that have access to federal programs for people in those situations.
We've been down that road too here in the last 20 years. Look what happens. I mean, you can't just, I'm sorry to say it, you can't just finance a $400,000 home for somebody that makes $40,000 a year. Somebody's got to make up that difference.
Yeah, you can't do that
Right.
either. Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah. Who do the women play Saturday?
Oklahoma State.
Is it here?
Yes.
I'll try to find time and try to sneak that game in. I think it's on ESPN Plus. I think.
I'm sure it is. It's.
Somehow I went back through. I don't want to say this, but somehow I'm getting ESPN Plus and I'm not paying for it. I don't know. I don't know if they just added that to Hulu, the base package of that, and I just started.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think
The Disney, Hulu, ESPN Plus are all one.
Okay, that's why. I just realized that the other day. I paid my, all my February bills, and I'm like, why am I not being charged for ESPN Plus, but I'm getting it because I'm watching everything on it. I don't get the subscription account, so you read all the extra articles and stuff, but
Oh, yeah.
I get the TV content, and I couldn't figure that out. I'm like, I'm not paying for it. But technically, I am.
Technically they are, yeah.
Yeah, technically, that's why Hulu went up this last year.
Yeah, there's all kind of new, with one package that's gonna be ESPN, Fox, and
I
Warner
saw
Brothers.
that.
And then they just announced this morning, ESPN is gonna have their own streaming service, separate purchase their.
It's the way it's going.
The streaming services are adding commercials now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like lots of commercials.
They are.
Really strange.
No, that's
I
how
mean, I'm
they're,
used to it.
yeah, that's how they're paying for stuff. It's through that advertising. I'll be interested to see what the Super Bowl looks like Sunday on that version
On what version?
on Hulu.
Commercials.
What the commercials look like on there. So that'll give you a good indication of what it's gonna look like moving forward.
Here the Clydesdales are back, so I'm happy.
Gotcha.
And she's picking up the groceries tonight. She's already got the menu planned. She won't tell me the whole menu, but I've guessed a couple things.
When you have all the kids over watching the game or what?
Yeah, they'll be invited for sure. They may leave at halftime, especially the ones with the little ones. So
Yeah.
you get her to
They
bed.
do that so late.
Mhm.
I really should start that game like 3:30. There was talk a few years ago moving it to Saturday. Is that a Sunday?
I do know I'm getting some oatmeal Scotty cookies. That's my one. So
That sounds good.
I reached out to KAC, it was like, maybe we get the Kansas delegation to go over to Old Ebbets or something one night. But I haven't heard back on that.
yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I don't think, talked to any KU fans, it's the refs.
It's so ironic.
I've heard-
I don't even know who's there.
I've heard-
Every time, the only time, if they get fair refs, they think it's unfair.
Just say Karma. What's it like for everyone going down there?
Yeah.
When I got a few KU fans at work, and I said, "Don't worry, there's always football." I'll never mind.
I don't know. They're
Did you
they're
see-
doing some good
I
things
think
there.
KU's, yeah, Kobe, yeah,
KU
player.
player posted, oh yeah, just wait till football next year. Avery Johnson retweeted it and said, and had smiling faces laughing across it.
I actually think KU might struggle a little bit in football next year, not being able to play at a true home next year.
I just
They're
wish
playing a couple of games at the soccer field. And they're playing the rest of the conference games at Arrowhead. It might be a little difficult next year.
I wish Avery's response would have just been thank you, bulletin board material.
Oh, that's what it was meant to be, yeah. Of course, they don't play at the end of the year next year. They play in October.
Yeah, they didn't make it the end.
Yeah.
Last game this time.
I don't know. We got a lot of pieces to fill too, so it'll be interesting. Whole offensive line.
Yeah. That one worries me.
Love the running back, love the quarterback, but they got to be protected.
I think we're going to be okay at wide receiver too, finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fortunately, our quarterback was designed to kind of play around about offensive line if all necessary. I think you got,
They were subbing in,
yeah.
subbing in guys last.
And we got a junior college guy and another transfer that is gonna fill in, I think would be okay. I'm kind of a little bit more worried about the front half of our defense next year.
Mhm.
I think the back half will
Lost a lot.
I think the back half of our defense will actually be pretty good.
Excited about our new offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach too.
That's gonna make a difference.
Excited about that. He sounds excited to be here.
We're actively scouting the high 3-star, almost 4-star quarterback. Uh-huh, in 2025 class.
So the offensive coordinator, and when he was head coach at Utah, had offered Kleiman the defensive coordinator job.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
I
said
didn't
he
hear
told
that.
me no, but I told him yes.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
They've been friends for a long, long time. So
So yeah, he said when he was the head coach there, he'd studied offenses and defenses and said, got to know him.
Yeah.
He dialogued in and offered him the job, but Kleiman turned him down.
Well, Kleiman's more of an offensive, even though Kleiman played defense in college. Nancy, you ready?
Catbackers.
Sure.
Catbackers this month. It's Wells and Riley.
Hmm.
Or coming.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Permission, I'll do it from here.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
No, you have to stay on.
Okay. Morning, Commissioners. Clancy Holman, Riley County Council. I don't have much to report on. Putting the finishing touches on a brief I've got to get done. So, Senate Bill 162, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. I'll be in contact with our lobbyists. There's a hearing on it in about half an hour.
Oh, okay. Yes, today. Yeah.
So again, the purpose of that hearing, as I understand it, is to flesh out any amendments that are out there. That's the intent of the committee. And to make sure that as many as are going to be in play are out there being talked about now. Discussed and evaluated. So we'll see.
That's a nuisance.
That's
Yeah.
the Sedgwick County Unincorporated Area Nuisance Abatement Act. And it's interesting. I thought there would be more appetite, but it's hard to gauge. I mean, who knows how it's going to end up. I thought there would be more of an appetite to maybe doing it statewide, but there's actually some sentiment on the committee to just continue to do it kind of piecemeal by those who ask for it, that they think ought to have it or should have it. So
It sounded like to me that the whole question between urban and rural designation is a hang up. And I don't know how many counties there are with this, but there's a large majority of counties that don't do land development or any type of that type of regulation, which makes it basically pointless. So when you really break it down, that kind of actually makes sense. I mean, I hate sometimes agreeing with the legislature, but it kind of makes sense to maybe do it that way, that maybe your top 7, 8, 10 counties that kind of really have this challenge, and then the other 90 or so really kind of don't. So there's probably no need to. I mean, it does kind of make sense.
it could be. It'll be interesting. Hopefully one of those two things will happen.
Yeah.
And hopefully as written, not with something odd added into it.
Yeah. Did you see the note I read yesterday about 373?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a little, I don't know.
It's actually aimed at KAC.
Yeah, and that's how I read it.
Yeah.
Well, but also that's too, I mean, right?
Oh, yeah, it'd be anybody. It'll be forbidding any counties from using public funds or cities too. I just don't see that flying. I don't.
They don't want to hear from us.
On lobbying?
Yeah.
Lobbying? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, they've done that before.
Yeah, it's come up, but I don't remember and maybe it has, I don't remember a bill previously, probably was, but I don't know if this is serious or not, who knows? Because really, it doesn't help the legislators. Because whether they would maybe all admit it or not, there's value to them in having, who do I talk to?
Yeah.
Who really is interested? And if it's not structured, the vast majority of people don't have time to do that.
Well, then, like I say, it just depends on special interests
Sure.
that we hire,
But it turns into access and
Yeah.
routine access and contribution.
It's on the surface and it's like, oh yeah, that should be doing that. But then if you learn how the state works,
Well, you'd be
we need
basically be
information.
shut out.
Yeah.
There would really be no opportunity to weigh in on things like bad legislation. Just, I don't know. I'd like to think maybe it's what they always talk about. It's postcard, it's palm card material.
I think
Here's what I
it's-
tried to do.
It's election year.
Yeah, that, and I think it's kind of response to this push on the LABTR, and KAC's been kind of out front on that one.
Could be.
That's retaliation for that. Oh, I'm sorry, retaliation doesn't happen at that level, my bad.
Right, yes. What do they call it? What's the euphemism they use then?
You'll have to get with them. It's above me.
But I don't really have anything else to present.
Have you had a chance to look over the two, I guess the two bills, Representative, Dotson?
Well,
emailed through?
just what I told you, I don't know what the,
Okay,
I was just predicting, I suggested maybe they're better served if we're gonna do that, to do it not this year.
yeah,
To even think about it,
okay.
because it's not on your platform. Yeah, we're running out of legislative time.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. Turnaround's what, a couple of weeks away?
They're gonna want to get out and campaign, so they may actually get out. Maybe, depending on whether the governor wants them to go and they don't fight over the budget, who knows?
Well, it looks like they're gonna fight over some kind of a tax proposal first.
Sure.
Much less the budget, so
Sure.
I think it's gonna go a little bit longer than what they were anticipating, just because of
I
that.
doubt they'll get out when they would like
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
But who knows? Governor can always call them back.
The other thing that's kind of interesting, I'm not seeing the long list of filings that I thought that I would see at this point in time.
So usually it's kind of March, isn't it?
It usually does start pretty early. This usually starts rolling around January. I'd agree. It
really?
seems to be a slower year
Yeah.
for sure. That for sure.
So we got an invite for that, but Landon lecture. Gonna be Governor Kelly.
Hmm.
I'm actually gonna go, but I actually more so than seeing the governor speak, I want to hear update from Dr. Linton afterwards.
No, it just, and even Seaton had an editorial on last night saying, it used to be a big deal. And then the 2020 didn't have any, and they only had one the next year. But also, it used to be national and international
Yeah,
people, not
did.
government. I mean, and I'm not,
It did.
this isn't anything against Kelly. It's just, it used to be a national, bringing in national,
It
international.
used to be the time the
speakers.
names you would think, man, we're getting that in Manhattan.
Right.
What an opportunity. That's the kind of
Oh, we got
speakers they would bring
presidents,
in.
ex-presidents and
Sitting presidents,
sitting,
Yeah. Gorbachev came here one year, he spoke.
Because I remember thinking, man, I should go to these more often because they were that level of
Yeah.
speakers. It's
I
like,
think it wasn't COVID that killed it. They just didn't have the resources to do it anymore. I was talking to Linda Cook when she was still here. They said they wanted to start that back up, but it could cost 6 digits to bring somebody in. Yeah, yeah. Now they require that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, for
and
sure.
they just don't have the resources they don't want to allocate the resources for that. They feel it needs to be placed someplace else.
Which
I
I get
actually
that.
tend to agree with
that,
them.
but
Yeah,
like I say,
I get that.
But I think,
that was the land election.
yeah, I think you also look at like this
personal against
next generation of people, they don't know all those names at this point in time. So how do you restart that? So you kind of start small and maybe try to work up to it again or something. This is kind of how they're doing it. So it's kind of what it is.
And that's what Seaton's editorial talks about. The guy that used to be the head of the
Mhm.
land, I don't remember the name now, that guy and his dad had a lot of contacts that helped bring people in.
Mhm. Yeah, you would have to
Because
have
his dad
that.
had done a lot of stuff
Mhm.
and all over the place. And
I thought one of the people they should bring in is the White House photographer.
Did he ever come in?
No,
He did one.
did he? Oh, okay, that would be
He did
good.
one that was.
I think he came in and gave a presentation, but I don't think it was a Landon lecture.
Oh,
maybe,
okay. He was here for something.
Yeah.
Can't think of the name now, but I know you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Did, I think from George 41 all the way up to Obama.
Yeah.
He's K-State, or he's a K-State alum, so,
Mhm. That's
I
neat.
already had that attachment there. Can't remember his name, but good guy.
I had the opportunity to be part of the security of Gates, who was Department of Defense.
Yeah.
And what was neat about that is we in law enforcement always use a challenge coin anytime you're buying dinner or drinks. And you put down your challenge coin, and whoever has the highest ranking challenge coin wins. And, Gates personally handed me his Department of Defense challenge one. Needless to say, I rarely moving forward, anybody can trump the Department of Defense challenge. And so I was very grateful to him that over the years, I still got it. I made a keychain out of it.
That's cool.
We'll have those-
Yeah, technically, there's only one that trumps that one.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna get that one.
After a while, they're like, we know, Michael, we know.
Yeah.
Gates, all right.
Well, that's what, when Nixon was here, when I was in school, and the security force was all over, but, and it was so obvious, the Secret Service, they looked like stereotype. They had their trench coats and their glasses on, everybody's going, oh, there goes another one up in there. It isn't like they were trying to act like
They're not incognito.
they tried to act like they were part of it, but everybody went, oh, there's another one. You know, you could see, they stood out.
As they all get out of a black Suburban.
Yeah.
Tinted windows.
And they fly. And President Bush came to mail that. When was it? Was it Bush Senior?
Yeah, that was 05.
Yes. And they came down Fort Riley Boulevard and we had to close down all the streets.
Uh-huh.
And they came through at 85 miles.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. And then you,
Well, they were originally gonna fly into Forbes Field, and they ended up taking a helicopter to there to Marshall Field where they could put the full entourage together, and then
I think that is 100% accurate. And they made it from Topeka to Manhattan in like last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And they gave us a heads up. They said they're coming. Now be ready. And I would have imagined that's part of.
The security.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
Fast targets harder to hit.
Yes, and they gave very specific instructions. They will not stop. They will not stop. And so we had to make certain that the pedestrians and everything.
but they coordinate that with highway patrol and state patrol, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had every agency, we
Yeah.
had Topeka PD, we had the highway patrol, we had everybody from Riley County County. But it was very clear, no matter what, the caravan will not stop.
Yeah.
So
That's what when Nixon came, where the engineering building is, was still a practice football field. So he helicoptered into there.
Hmm.
So we have had some really interesting things happen here. Man.
Wasn't too long, I mean, Cheney, when he was still vice president, he came, did something up on Fort Riley too,
Mm-hmm.
the same thing.
Of course, we had Dr. King.
Yeah.
Yes, his last speech he gave on a college campus as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm. Is.
That's just before,
pretty
yeah.
big.
Just for.
Just before. Yeah, Bill Clinton, post presidency, he gave a landing lunch here. Too long before Bush Jr. Yeah. There was some one year, I don't remember, 87 or 88. Reagan came out here for Alf Landon's 100th birthday. They made a big deal about that. He flew into Topeka, I think it was.
I would have been almost a senior in high school,
Yeah,
and it seems like.
I remember watching that on WIDW when that happened. It's a pretty big deal.
And so What any? It is the first one since 22.
Yeah. I don't
I'll say there weren't any in 21 and one in February 20, what, just before.
Yeah.
Was the Colombian president.
That's right. And that was actually
Said he was,
pretty
Charles Reagan said he was the chairman of the series. Said he had seen. There's a lot of people. Had a list of who Henry Kissinger, Jesse Jackson, Billy Graham, I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Colin Powell.
I had a chance to see him speak at NACO conference in 19. Really? Yeah, it was one of the highlights of that trip. Got an autographed book. He's the one that did that NACO high-speed leadership series that we do. He's the one that put that whole thing together. I thought while President Myers was still here, that a couple of other people from the Bush administration, like maybe Condoleezza Rice, those couple of years when we were playing Stanford in football, might be somebody to consider. Because, it's supposed to kind of follow a couple of key points too, like, diplomacy, something militarily speaking, leadership, it follows a couple core principles within that lecture, and diplomacy would obviously be her forte. And, being I guess they call it a chancellor, that position at Stanford, kind of fits the academia part of it too.
Hope you doing too.
Haven't heard.
Knee surgery, correct?
Yeah.
Number 2.
Knees are so funny.
Yeah, so it's hips, they can just basically do that in a blink of an eye, but knees are 50-50. Okay, Mike. Good to go.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Bowler with the Riley County Noxious Weed Household Hazardous Waste monthly staff update. Start out with, we've had a fairly busy month of January, as you're well aware, with call outs for snow removal. I counted 8, might have been 9, but I counted at least 8. Just for reference, when we get called out, generally our crews are out on an average of about 9 hours to get that done. I think the longest we were out for was 14 hours. This one busy snow that we had. But I really think that Riley County and the crews do a remarkable job and snow clean out. The feedback I have gotten from folks out in the field, it's just that. So we had 8 of those, so we've been busy. And because of that, we're a little behind on winter maintenance on tractors and mowers, but that began at the beginning of this month. That will include the maintenance of our rental sprayers. As you recall, we provide rental sprayers for spraying and summer for noxious weeds. And so that maintenance will continue throughout this month. That's what we stay busy with this month on the noxious weed side. We're also in the process of getting the 2023 noxious weed report completed. That has to do with our survey sections and what we came up with our amount of infestations that we have of noxious weeds here in Riley County. I'm grateful to say no major noted change in infestations here in Riley County. We're able to keep a pretty good lid on it. But every year you'll see maybe a certain species of plant that just has the opportunity, the growth conditions are correct. And it just, sometimes you see a little bit more musk thistle than you do in the past. That's one that really stands out to folks. It's a big purple head on it. But we did have a pretty good musk thistle year last year. And again, Mother Nature, she decides a lot of that. But I'm grateful to say on our report, there's no major changes there. We will also be completing our Kansas Department of Ag Management Plan. That is a pretty basic form that the state requires, and I will have both of those forms before the commissioners probably next month for your signatures. The management plan is just an assessment of what I and the weed department plan to do to keep those numbers where they need to be. So those will be coming soon. Our CWDAQ conference for spring of 2024 will be the last week in February. This conference enables all of our applicators to earn credits for their certification, keep certified in that spring. And this year the conference will be here in Manhattan. A lot of conferences are coming to Manhattan, and they provide a great facility at a pretty reasonable price. And so all of our applicators will be attending. And Commissioner Ford will actually be giving the greeting there on Wednesday, the 28th at 8 a.m. We'll be in the concert room. So we're looking forward to having you there and get to meet some of the guys and gals that do what I do from all across the state.
You'd be surprised. I know quite a few of them already.
That's I'm certain a good thing. There are some really good people.
There is. I agree.
In this position. And they represent a lot of small communities too. Which kind of segues into our CWDAQ Basic Weed School. That'll be taking place February 20th through the 23rd. That will also be here in Manhattan. Scott Marsh from the Kansas Department of Ag and I will be conducting that school. We're going to have several guest instructors this year, and we're changing things up a little bit in that we are focusing on, when we demonstrate our equipment here in Riley County, I often call in Douglas County, Shawnee County, kind of came to realize that there's a lot of counties in Kansas that don't have the funding that we do, don't have the equipment that we do. And so we're going to be calling in some of those smaller counties, smaller, less funded counties to demonstrate their equipment, how we can still fight the battle that we fight without, thousands of dollars spent on equipment. So that's a change we're going to do moving forward. Having said that, we do have a pretty interesting, probably drone spray demonstration that we're pending a favorable condition here, and that is a new wave that's moving forward in the ag business. It's a booming business, and I think ag across the entire state, you will start seeing a lot more drone spraying applications. It's very affordable, and it is absolutely the future of what we do. Interestingly enough, Shawnee County is going to be one of the first weed departments in the state that are actually buying and training their individuals to fly drones. I can assure you, I will not be coming in front of this commission anytime soon asking for $80,000 drones. But they do a lot of spraying on, dams and waterway areas in Topeka. And so for them, it makes sense, but, they may be demonstrating theirs as well. So it's absolutely the future. And if people have the interest in coming out and seeing that,
If I'm not mistaken, they're doing that on a grant or a funding program or something too, that's offsetting some of that cost.
perhaps.
That's trying.
I wanted to demonstrate.
Yeah.
Yes, the Shawnee County Commissioners were very
I think Commissioner
really
Mears was talking about
wanted
that.
that.
Yeah.
And it is the future. It is the future. And in the long run, I think you may actually find a cost savings.
Yeah.
And or even injury. When you're asking folks to walk on uneven ground on the side of a dam, you risk ankle breaks and knees and everything else. And so
Typically don't call in sick on days you need to spray in, and benefits are kind of cheap
Oh,
there too.
yeah, in the ag industry, I think the stat is last year, 650,000 acres were sprayed in the state of Kansas by drones, and it's just going up exponentially. So it's absolutely the future.
You
Very
think-
interesting to see.
Just out of curiosity, do you think over the course of time that will help maybe bring down the cost of chemicals and seed and fertilizer too, maybe?
Well, I'm very grateful to report that those numbers are already beginning to decrease post-COVID. We have already seen a dramatic drop in chemical prices. And we're going to be able to pass that forward in 2024. So I don't know if that's directly related to drones in any way, but there were obviously a number of factors that went into the price of those very specific items that the ag industry uses that really, we've seen 200% increases in the last couple of years. Not only has it stabilized, but we're beginning to see it drop, and we're hoping to see post-COVID level prices. Probably not 2024, but moving forward, I think it's going to go in that direction. So I'm very happy to see it. And of course, we've had diesel prices going down, some other things. I'll leave it at that. HHW, we are going to be having a clean out Saturday, February 10th, from 8 a.m. to noon. That's this Saturday. Again, we won't be accepting any business waste, and 25 items or less will be accepted. And that limit is not included, of course, like light bulbs or medications, that sort of thing. The purpose there is we just don't want entire truckloads of items being brought down there, because we ourselves only have a trailer and haul it away. The word's getting out on that. We haven't had that problem for a while.
You might mention what you mentioned to me the other day, Mike, that really that's frowned upon by the state, just in general. The large business.
Oh, well, yeah,
generators.
thank you. Let me speak to that. There was a change that where it came from the commissioners about 8 months ago, that the state of Kansas has restricted large quantity generators of business waste from disposing of their waste through our facility and facilities like ours across the state. That really, as the state pointed out, it's really in the name. We are a household hazardous waste. We can accept business waste from what they call conditionally exempt generators. That you think more along your lines, your mom and pop, maybe taxidermy shop, that sort of thing. And so for that reason, we have had a change. We've seen a dramatic drop in the amount of business waste we're recycling. I am grateful to say that that process has went smoothly. I really thought this phone was going to ring and there's going to be some rumblings, but as businesses call us, they've discovered that we can put them in contact with our vendor. And generally will receive our vendor prices, and then they don't even have to bring the items out to us. That vendor will come to them or vendors of their choosing and pick it up. So it's been a fairly smooth process. So very pleased about that, but we don't accept business waste at that clean out, but we made that change, and I'm grateful that it's been relatively smooth. So, and that was a change, not necessarily it was my decision. That came down from the state, and that would fall on the generator if they, we have them sign an affidavit if you accept their waste, they don't fall in that category. So that if we're audited, that falls on the business. It's their obligation to make sure they know what level of generator they are. It's not our responsibility. So thank you for reminding me. It's been a good process. And then finally, I will be attending our district meeting there in Jackson County
on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And then, of course, I will be part of the state meeting at our conference as I serve on the state board for CWDAK as well. So we had a productive couple of months. We're having a busy month, February, with what we got going on with conference and basic school, which is quite a bit of work every year, but okay. So that's all I got, Commissioner.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Time.
Kelly, you're up.
Good morning, Commissioners. Charlotte Hager, Riley County Treasurer with the January 2024 Revenue Report. We ended the month of January with a balance in the general fund of $25,166,216. Our total fund balance for the end of January was $84,754,556.57. We are carrying right now $13,518,351 in ARPA funds as well. In our investment income for the first month of January, we deposited, we had net interest of $228,175.52, which represents 11.4% of the total budget for 2024. We had interest in the ARPA fund of $61,293.25. Our active checking account was earned 5.47% for the month of January. And our CD rates are coming down a little bit, 4.75, which is still above the recommended amount or interest rate recommended for investments in public funds. So I am still trying to keep some money diversified into, I do suspect that that checking account interest rate will potentially start coming down, and at least we've got some funds locked in at a specific rate. So just to let you know, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. And you can see, remember, we did up our budget for investment income this year, so I will be definitely watching that very closely. Our general fund revenue for the month of January, the total amount of revenue that came in was $16,347,465. We made our first distribution in January. Those are the taxes that are collected from the 1st of November through the end of December. And we've collected 44.02% of our total revenue just through the month of January. So you gotta remember, that's our largest amount of taxes come in with that January distribution. So sales tax, per one of the requests from the commissioners, I've broken this out into two sections. This first section is just our county general's half-cent sales tax amount. This is the amount that Riley County gets to retain of that half-cent. So for January, it was $183,689.10. It's a little bit lower than what it was in January of 2023, but it's still just over 10% over what we have budgeted for the month. And
I was just wanting to ask on that half a cent just goes into the county general fund, correct? So it's not specifically purposed for anything.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And we do for 2024, we have $2 million budgeted to bring in for sales tax for 2024. So for January, that's 9.18% of the budget, which January is 8.33% of the year. So we're just a little bit over for the year for January. Then I broke down a separate page for the road and bridge. we were deposited $212,079.24. And we have budgeted $166,000, so that's about 27% over budget for,
I was that over, but the other one was under last year.
well, you gotta remember, we get to keep all of the road and bridge.
I know, but it's still. Well, of course, that other one,
Different
November,
percentages.
November would have still been the old
Yeah.
Correct,
formula. or
That is
yeah.
correct.
Oh, okay.
that's correct. See, you can see here.
Yeah,
For January, this is the county general, 193, and it's the same thing here for January for road and bridge. That was still on the old.
it's
So-
the old, yeah, okay, that's right, 'cause
The
it
old
was
rate.
January, but it was
Yeah.
November taxes.
Starting in March, we will
Then we'll
begin
be
to
getting-
see apples to
Oh,
apples.
okay,
So,
yeah, that's right.
so it is still a little, we're still dealing with both,
But it's just, yeah,
both rates.
yeah, okay.
And so once again, we have $2 million budgeted for this sales tax. So we're just at 10.6% of the total budgeted amount for road and bridge. Do you like how that's broken
Yeah.
out separately? Do you
Oh,
like that
I
better?
think I'm gonna like it really good in March.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I do agree. I'm still,
Just looking at it now, I've been wondering how that's gonna balance out, and it looks like it's gonna
Sure.
balance out pretty good. Okay.
so here we have just some year-to-date figures historically. This is the general fund sales tax. Year-to-date, we're just like 5.6% lower than we were in January. This one, is once again, this report is total. This is actually total sales tax brought in by the county. So you're still gonna see a significant difference in road and bridge because of that rate change, but
I mean, if you wanted to apples and apples, I mean, you could go to the city and see what they're at on theirs and mix, but that's not necessary. I just.
and so these two graphs down here actually show prior month, general fund and prior month road and bridge. So there you can see apples to apples because they're using the same. These compare to where we were, compares it to December.
Doing better than even the state average at this point in time. That's good.
And then this final report just shows you kind of where our sales tax dollars are coming from in the various areas. And finally, I do show actually how our total sales tax that we brought in, which was $741,000, is broken up between the cities and then what Riley County gets to retain. Hey, any questions about any of that?
How that's broken out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Great. Some things going on in the treasurer's office. Delinquent notices were mailed out February 2nd, so we are seeing an uptick in some of those taxes that weren't paid for the December collection period are starting to come in. Sheriff warrants will be going out at the end of next week for personal property. Just to let you know, we did process about half the number of renewals in the month of January than we did at the same time last year, primarily due to the fact that the state did not get out heavy truck and trailer renewal notices in December. Those did not get into the hands of people until to our customers. It was mid-January.
Any reason as to why?
We got an email saying that due to a supply shortage. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
And then, which then we found out that usually the renewals come out about the 15th of the month prior to when they're due. So renewals for February should have been out the middle of January. Those were not mailed out until the last week of January. So we're looking at for the month of February, processing all the heavy trucks and trailers, commercial IRP, and the A renewals all in the month of February. So I'm just letting the public know that, and we're also too short right now at the counter. So
And February's
The
still
shortest
this
month.
year, yeah. 2 extra day, 1 extra day.
Well, it is
two
actually,
extra
we do get one extra day.
So I'm just encouraging people to renew online if possible.
Okay.
Make an appointment if possible. If you are a B renewal, that you don't renew until the end of March, I would highly recommend that you wait until March and let us get through this busy time before you come in. But always, if you come in, we will get you served. We'll do the best that we can. Finally, I will be attending the KCTA Legislative Conference next Wednesday through Friday in Topeka. I think I did mention I'm the legislative chair now this year for KCTA, so I have been following a lot of bills that have, just kind of seeing, following things that'll affect the treasurer's office, the county, motor vehicle system, anything with taxes. So I've been trying to stay on top of all of that the best that I can. But as always, if you see anything that you think might interest the Treasurers Association, please reach out and I will do the same. Any questions or anything else I can provide?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See you next month.
Next, Commissioner, the chamber up at 9:45. Morning, guys. How you doing?
Which session?
I said, those two meeting. Slaps.
Go ahead, Darren. Yes.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Darren Solden from the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. Commission is here as well to talk about military relations activities and loud noises from coming out that are coming from out west of us.
Oh, that wasn't thunder? Sounds of freedom. I love it.
Yeah, my
I
daughter.
thought it was raining.
Yeah,
There's a lot of thunder.
So three things for me. First off, just want to update all of you that our economic development folks are going to engage in a strategic growth planning process here over the course of the next about 6 months. And so that's something, it's been the Greater Manhattan project that became Region Reimagined was done back in, and the work on that was rolled out in 18, but the work on that was done back in 17. This is not just an update to that, or not the same process. This is very much going to be a focused process or a growth, looking at our economic development strategies and processes and diving into, if there's some specific things we can do to further drive jobs and investment and everything in the region. So just beginning that process, like I said, it's going to be a very focused effort, working with a consultant that has done some work in this area before, working in Wichita, some work for the state of Kansas on their framework for growth or state economic development plan. So knows the area and the region well. Just want to give you a heads up, we'll be reaching out to the county about representation on that in that process. And so keep an eye out for that here in the relatively near future as that gets kicked off over the next several weeks to month. Also at a regional economic development level, just wanted to update you and let you know that Potawatomi County Economic Development Corporation has a new executive director. So Shanna Goodman, she's from Wamego, or has lived in Wamego for a while, is the new executive director. Started a few weeks ago. We've had Shanna over. She attended the Leaders Retreat back in January. She has been over a couple times where obviously we do the work we do directly as part of a partnership agreement with Potawatomi County Economic Development is the Greater Manhattan Economic Partnership, or GMAP, which is really where we do all of our business recruitment and attraction efforts. So when we're promoting Manhattan as a great place to move a business, grow a business, that's all being done under that GMAP umbrella. So we started that work with Shanna, and of course that then also includes things like Kansas Department of Commerce and the work we do there. We hosted a group from the international division here in late January that's specifically doing some recruitment work on behalf of Kansas and Central Europe, so the German-speaking countries, Switzerland, Austria, Germany, and so we hosted them as part of a tour that they were doing. We've got an upcoming representation from Taiwan that will be here as part of the statewide couple-day tour that they're doing as well. So seeing some of that kind of activity and making sure they've got the right information to go out and promote this region as a great place for business and investment. And then just last, wanted to note, coming up in early March, the focus on building rural communities that will be up in Leonardville March 4th. That Riley County Extension has been very instrumental in putting that together, and Riley County Rural Economic Development Committee has been actively working that, putting that program together as well. Just proud as the chamber to be a sponsor of that program, help bring in a national speaker. So looking forward to a great list of speakers there. We've got a national speaker, we've got numerous folks from Department of Commerce and the state that'll be there, and some other speakers and business owners as well. So I think that's going to be a really good event, and look forward to participating in that. So happy to answer any questions if you have any for me. Otherwise, hand it over to Christian.
I believe all three of us will be participating in that as well, giving up our Monday morning meeting to do that. So That's how important that is.
Yeah, no, I think I'm excited about it. You know, I think it's got the potential to bring in a nice regional audience into Leonardville that day too. But just the fact that we've got folks that specialize in rural development, community development, and rural communities, and it's good to have some of that perspective and better understand what strategies are effective out there for other places, not just in Kansas, but across this part of the country.
Good morning. As Darren said, there's a lot of activity, lots of sounds of freedom going on right now. So as one brigade is in the field, they will have a training. It's it's called Project Convergence Capstone 4. So it's a multi-joint phase. So it will feature over U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps. But it actually goes from February 23rd through March 20th. So the units are preparing for warfighter as they go into the field. And then this is a division level to prepare as they go to NTC at Fort Irwin. So lots of sounds of freedom will be going on for a couple months. You kind of just get used to it. And then if you look up, you don't see rain, you know it's the sounds of freedom. So yesterday we had the honor of having Dr. Bob Smith present from the Fort Riley Museum at our lunch to kind of talk about the history of the Buffalo Soldiers. And of course, the update of the museum. He is hoping that the First Infantry Museum opens late spring. So Cavalry Museum was open, but he kind of talked about supply chain demand with door hinges, which is pretty amazing. But like you said, he's hoping late spring the First Infantry Museum will be open, which, I said great time during spring break, and of course to promote it to our families as they are looking for something to do this summer to get kids out, but also stay cool. We also had Command Sergeant Major Jim Sands, who is the president of the Gary County Black History Trail, just kind of speak about the different phases that they have of their Black History Trail and some updates. For those of you who don't know, Dave Baker, who is from Manhattan, is featured at Rutherford Field out in Junction City. And so it was a great segue because we also talked about how Riley County had the story earlier today about the home of Earl Woods. And so just as Jim Sands, and they try and expand the project with the goal to go East Coast to West Coast, but also incorporating stories such as Earl Woods all the way out to like Beecher Bible and other things. Next month's luncheon is a huge one, so I'm hoping that we have a very large attendance. But for those of you that were able to attend the Leaders Retreat, you did hear the CG talk about, of course, the recruiting challenges. It's no secret. So for March 6th luncheon, we do have Lieutenant Colonel Jones, who is the commander of the KC Recruiting Battalion. So she is our regent. So she'll be here discussing new initiatives of how they are trying to recruit the military, the challenges that they've been having, especially just getting back into schools post-COVID, and debunking some of those myths of why either children now don't want to serve or why family members don't want their children to serve. So I'm just hoping for some great conversations with the military and the community on ways that we can assist. So again, it's March 6th and it'll be at the Holiday Inn campus. One other event that is going on is next Sunday, the 18th at 1. So K-State is having their rodeo next weekend. It's the 77th annual, and it's actually the 50th year anniversary at Weber Arena. And so Sunday is Military Appreciation Day, starts at 1. And so they are giving away free tickets to all service members and veterans. And so if they are on Fort Riley, the Leisure Travel Office has over 2,000 tickets to give away. And they usually do give away. Last year, they had almost 300 people there for military appreciation. So For us, it's a great way to kind of segue into the summer when we host the Cobb Valley Rodeo Military Appreciation, really just giving families a chance to see what the rodeo is like. A lot of them come from the East and West Coast and never get that Midwestern light. So it's always a great event. So please help spread the word. And then the last update is, of course, the economic impact overview did come out. So I wouldn't be remiss if I did not say that, of course, there was $1.98 billion of direct impact, but most importantly, the veteran expenditures brought an increase of 16.4% over the previous year. So I think that's also a testament of us opening that Stormont Vale and just providing more services. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate the continued support of economic development.
Mhm.
Good morning.
Thanks, Commissioner. You have Julie Gibbs at 10. Morning, Julie.
Morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Just realized that says back. I forgot to change that to VOCC. I give my back the same report to the
Gotcha.
Public Health Advisory Council. That's changed it.
Some popped out.
Yeah, they said there was a chance of that today. Actually did have a couple sprinkles come down on me last night when I was going home, just a couple on the windshield about 8:30. I thought, oh, we're gonna get some more rain. Didn't. I knew there was a slight chance last night.
Kind of felt like it.
Said slight chance of snow Saturday night, Sunday. It's gonna get cooler, which is good football watching weather.
Yeah, for the last game of the year. I don't know what to do after that. Guess I have to get.
Hope baseball's really good.
Yeah,
Wait and start right after that.
Uh,
XFL or-
Yeah,
or
the
some
combined league, the USFL and the XFL are combining this year, and
I never can get into those other things.
they just put too much entertainment into it, and not so much football. You know, I don't know. We'll see.
Continue to watch basketball and hope baseball does well.
Yeah, I think baseball's going to do well. The weather can kind of hold out early. It might be good to go to a few really season non-conference games.
Yeah, that's something underutilized venue on my part. You know, I need to go to some of those.
Yeah.
It's a cool atmosphere, nice little stadium.
Yeah.
Got a good team.
Yeah.
No reason not to. Other than time.
Yeah. I really want to see what our non-conference schedule looks like this year.
Pretty tough. It's one of the things, because we didn't get into the tournament last year.
Yeah.
Because of the schedule strain.
We made it a little tougher on us.
Made it a little tougher.
That's what I had heard too.
Because he was on that, he must have had a press conference yesterday, they had clips on it.
It's hard
this
to-
morning.
That's the problem sometimes. So it's hard to get good teams that want to come out here and play. So you got to go basically play them on the road.
Well, and also at the start of the year, they have to go south.
Yeah.
It's warmer there to play.
Or
They want to come
California,
up here and play in the cold.
I guess we can't count basketball out completely, just.
That's, I mean, still have basketball to watch and hopefully they can somehow make it to the tournament,
Keep up what they did Monday.
somehow. Because if not, then it's just not the same for me.
We're a few games away from the NIT at worst. That's, I mean, compared to where we've been over the last couple of years, I mean, I can live with that. That's not the end of the world for me.
Can reluctantly.
No, we built it up so much from last year. It's, it's what it is. It is 10 o'clock, so we'll take a motion here to start.
Oh,
Yeah.
I move we recess as the Board of County Commission and convene as the Board of Health.
Okay, I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded to recess as the Board of County Commission and then reconvene as the Board of County Health. All in favor? Aye. Floor is yours, Julie.
Thank you. Julie Gibbs with the Health Department. I'm joined by Heather Ritchie, our childcare licensing supervisor. She'll follow my presentation with more details on her program here in a little bit. But we'll start with the budget, as Shelley always provides you. We have expenses by department and revenue by department as well. Looks pretty typical for this time of year. Any questions on any of that? Moving on to program updates, we'll start with the maternal and child health program. All of the MCH mid-year grant reports and SRs were submitted mid-January. MCH held all 6 Becoming a Mom classes on Thursdays in January with a total of 58 class participants. They had 2 Spanish BAM classes with a total of 10 participants. A total of 32 new client enrollments were completed in January. This is a 55% increase from last year's enrollment in January. And yoga classes, we still are successful with those. Every Wednesday, we had a total of 27 class participants for the month of January and 5 kids that utilized the free childcare during that time. Raising Riley, they're back at it, pretty busy. So you can see it all. So with parent education, they've had quite a busy month. They hosted their Flip It training on January 3rd. They had 5 parents attend, and this impacted 11 children in those families. They also hosted a book club meeting on the 23rd of January. The book was titled Punished by Rewards, and 10 parents attended and received this book as a resource. 12 children were impacted by parents receiving this resource and training. Raising Riley also started a new round of Circle of Security for parenting on the 27th. They had 8 parents that registered and attended this first training. 17 children were impacted by parents receiving these sessions. As far as provider trainings, on the 16th, they collaborated with Child Care Aware to present behaviors training, and they had 16 Riley County providers attend that. And they've been back at it with their outreach. They established outreach events at Manhattan Public Library in the month of January in conjunction with their story time. They had 15 adults and 20 children attend on the 26th. And they had 45 adults and 60 children attend on the 27th. They also had a provider support group on the 22nd. About 7 providers attended that. And coming up, Beth and Chelsea, 2 of the Raising Riley staff, will be starting health literacy basic first aid classes. They'll start that on the 23rd of this month for Manhattan Area Resettlement Team refugee families. This round of classes will have 2 4-week sessions, 10 participants each session for a total of 20 mothers that will be impacted by this. And they'll be able to provide on-site childcare during these classes for children who are not yet elementary age. So I'll let you know how that goes. After our first session. They have a lot planned for February, including a play and learn family engagement event, a book club event, more child assessments, and outreach and story times for the remainder of this month. Clinic update, they've been busy, not as busy as they were in December. Our numbers were a little higher in December, but they had 332 total appointments in January. They gave 208 immunizations across 135 patients, and 128 of the 332 appointments were Title X family planning visits. And January news, as respiratory virus and immunization season is slowing, they are revisiting their fee schedules, contracting with additional insurance plans, planning additional vaccination and lead testing clinics at area schools, and preparing for state site visits, which will come up later this spring. And then as far as a WIC update, their caseload continues to increase. We've seen a sharp increase at Fort Riley. We started the OB referral process, and so they have been receiving a lot more referrals through the OB unit. They received 30 just in 1 week. So last week they received 30 referrals.
That was just last week.
Yeah, just in 1 week. So it's great. I mean, they were able to take them all on, but yeah, our caseload continues to rise. State WIC is updating their systems, so Kaylin was able to participate in several state WIC meetings and modernization discussions, as particularly how the state can make the system more user-friendly for consumers and the dietitians. And Kaylin's also going to present at the Kansas Division of Early Childhood Conference with the state at the end of this month. The topic is optimizing client accessibility through WIC modernization. So I'm very proud of her for in that offer to present. And then FEP has provided an update as well. We were contacted by the new animal shelter, Prairie Paws, about hosting a vet clinic. Apparently they're hosting a clinic every week, and this is for free immunizations for their pets. So it's first come, first served, but they'll be able to provide some vaccinations for your pet. They wanted to partner with us on their March 5th date. This is a Tuesday, so we'll host them from 1 to 4 at the FCRC parking lot. Skylar will be available with information on zoonotic diseases and giving out goodies along with materials from other services at the health department. We also set a date for the annual Bugapalooza. It's April 20th. This is a Saturday. The time is still to be determined. We are partnering with K-State Insect Club, so we'll host this at their garden center, little insect zoo there. So hoping with that different venue, maybe bringing some more people to our Bugapalooza annual event. So more details on that to come. I wanted to give you a brief back update. It's been a while since I talked about the Public Health Advisory Council. A few years ago, it was my goal to revamp the Public Health Advisory Council to include more members and more action at their meetings. So I'm pleased to say we're getting closer to that goal, and not necessarily anything that I've done, but specifically to the work, due to the work of the current members. We have 7 members on this council, and they're busy updating the bylaws and making a rubric for membership so that we have more members representing different sectors of our community. Right now, we have great health representation with members from the mental health sector, Stormont Vale, and public health at Fort Riley. But we're lacking other areas. So we need to get representation from other areas, specifically looking at health department clients. It'd be nice to have them on our board. This is an informational postcard that Tasha put together, and with the help of Vivian, some of her edits are in here as well. We're able to put this out, and particularly out to our health department clients to try to get them to apply, to start coming to our meetings. So I will have those bylaws to you hopefully in the next month or so, once they're approved by the council, so that you all can look them over, and if approved, you can sign off on those. And that's all I have. Any questions? One more thing before I let Heather take over. Another out-of-state travel request. This is from our FEP coordinator. As I mentioned, we're getting into conference season. This is to attend the NACCHO Preparedness Summit, or NACCHO, however you want to say it. This is something that we go to every year. It's an annual event, and this year it's in Cleveland, Ohio at the end of March. Last year, she brought back valuable information about preparedness when it comes to public health emergencies. This year, it looks like the conference will be more specifically focused on case studies from cross-sector collaboration, communication strategies, and data sharing. So this is all covered from her regional FEP grant to include the travel and the registration fee. Any questions on this?
Cleveland, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I thought.
Boy.
Yeah. That's not the destination a lot of them are.
Yeah.
I thought everything went to San Diego from that one.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cleveland in March. Yeah. But excuse me, move to approve the out-of-state travel request for that coordinator.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the out-of-state travel request for the FEP coordinator in the health department. All in favor?
Chair, please sign.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Box signatures on this one.
Up above there you go.
There, is that better? Yeah.
Good morning,
Morning.
Heather Ritchie with Shelter Licensing Department Supervisor. And just wanted to give you guys a brief overview and some updates. Last year, I kind of went through more of like what our daily duties are. So this year I was kind of changed it up a little bit just to give you guys some new information. But just a reminder that we do serve Riley, Geary, Clay, and Dickinson in Potawatomi counties. I have 4 staff underneath me. Angie Hobbs mainly covers Riley County, and then Julia covers North Riley, so she's up there in Riley and Leonardville. And then she also covers Geary and Dickinson County. And then Anna has Clay in Potawatomi County. A reminder of who needs to be licensed. So anyone that cares for basically more than 2 children that are unrelated to them for more than 20 hours a week combined. So, they could do 5 and 15 or 10 and 10, but not go over the 20 hours for the 2 children. Or they need to become licensed. We obviously have a lot of that going on. I would say not as many in Riley County as we do in some of our other counties. Just if you look at the number of facilities that some of our counties have, I mean, where are the kids going? So they're going somewhere that's not licensed. We really try to talk with the license providers about letting us know if they know of anyone that's not licensed. Sometimes they don't want to tattle, but I try to explain to them that they have to do trainings or be, paying fees and doing those things, and it's not fair to them when they're doing the right thing, to not let us know about the ones that are unlicensed. And we look at it more as an education piece when we go out. It's not an I gotcha game or anything like that. We basically just go out and explain to them what the law says and give them information on orientation and try to get them to come. If we have a provider that, or not, I shouldn't say provider, individual that's continuing to care for children, we have worked with Bethany Fields to send them a letter, because technically that's on the county. It's not a KDHE or a state law. It goes by the county. So we have had someone that had to pay some fines and got arrested years ago, but we haven't had to do that again. So. And just a reminder of the facilities that we do survey. So we survey licensed and group daycare homes, childcare centers, preschool, your school age programs, and then your drop-ins, which drop-ins are like boys and girls clubs. And then we do have one resource and referral agency that we license here in Manhattan, Casito. And they just actually moved on to the K-State campus. So we went out and did their initial for that. So maybe I'll go to some. So we're looking at Riley County's at 101 total facilities right now. We're down about 8 facilities since last year. Some of them have been due to retirement. We have a lot of our older providers that are ready to retire and be done. We've had that happen. And then in Pot County, of course, we just had Hope Lutheran. Hope Lutheran is closing. We're working on absorbing those children. We do have a lot of spots open. Infants are going to be the hardest to get that. But, so Erie County is at 33 facilities. So, that's where I think there's probably a lot of oligopoly going on, because if you look at like Pod and Riley, those numbers, I feel like Gary should probably be up more with the Potawatomi numbers. Dickinson County, they did open 3 new childcare centers this year. So that was awesome. They opened up 2 in one in Hope, 1 in Harrington, and 1 in Salt.
Are there, I know there's probably no way to track it, but I mean, there are a lot of potential facilities on Fort Riley that are being used by maybe military families from Gary County that figure into that equation?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Good to know that information.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know at one point they only had 2 home providers on the whole coast. So they're really struggling to find providers. So we worked with them. And they also, they have more stringent rules than we do.
Oh, yeah,
About,
I imagine.
And even being licensed, and you can get in big trouble. So,
Are there any
yeah.
any
And that-
type of
that's
those programs through
probably-
475 there? Then 475 extend to Fort Riley too,
Yeah,
Mhm.
program
Oh,
wise?
yeah.
I'll have to look at them.
Yeah.
They have ways.
Be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and like before school care at like the YMCA, like the YMCA does a lot.
Be interesting to have some data on that,
Yeah.
just to correlate. But I do think you're right, that number should be higher.
Yeah, so, and then Erie County was down 4 facilities, Clay was down 1, Dickinson was down 3, and then Potawatomi County was down 3. So, I know there's a lot of talk about the childcare crisis. And I've tried to really educate the public on the fact that, yes, we are in need, we don't have open spots, but those open spots aren't due to needing new centers. We don't technically really need new centers, we need staff. That's the problem, is K-State, their CCD, can have, I think, 250, and they only have 80 some kids right now. That's because they can't find staff to work to open up rooms. So, the state as a whole, the nation as a whole, we really need to look at giving these people benefits, better pay, because, and it's such a high burnout rate too. Why would you want to do it? Get paid $11 an hour to watch, someone's, it's a hard job. It's a hard job. And I always tell our providers, home providers, I could not do their job. Kudos to them for doing that. I'm not made to stay home with several children. That's just not in my capacity. So I applaud them.
You can't put it out on patients sometimes. Yeah.
For doing that, yeah, so. Yeah, and we, there's talk this week, we've actually had 2 people come to us about opening centers here in Riley County. Like I said, I don't know if that's the answer. We do have a coalition meeting today with Pot and Riley due to the Hope Lutheran thing. And I am going to suggest that you have childcare regular needs assessment for our area and just see where we're at. I mean, I just hate for new businesses to open and fail because they're not gonna get that staff. Not that I know we need childcare, that's not what I'm saying, but I don't know if that's the answer, so.
So along those lines, I guess the big thought here, and it's not obviously fully funded yet, so there's a lot of work to be done with this childcare incubator that is being worked on. I mean, how does that fit into this equation? And staffing is still gonna be an issue.
Right.
Potentially there as well,
So what they're looking at is they would be licensed as home.
Mhm.
The problem is we have some city codes that need to be worked on.
Right.
So until we can get those codes going or out, they can't even open those because the city code reads that you have to live in the home or a facility to have a home license. So you can't like rent, like we have some of our counties that they could rent a house and then just have it out, but in Manhattan, you have to have you have to live in the facility. And I think there's also one about, they have to be so many feet apart. So those would be like, there's gonna be 4 on one side, 4 on the other side is what they're thinking. They did get awarded another grant yesterday.
Oh.
I think it was 3.5 million or 2.5. But it's, they're incorporating some community services and health services within that building that they wanna build.
It's under Ascension Via Christi
Yeah.
umbrella there.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so that will help, I think.
It's 3.5.
Yeah, so.
I think they were asking for 4 in place. That's pretty close to where they were at.
I think it'll be a good thing. I think there are a lot of people that would be interested in doing a home license, but they don't want to do it in their home. So, and I can't blame them. So, a lot of our sites, when we go in a home, are just things because people live there and they, their daughter forgot to lock up her hairspray or, things like that. So I think, yeah, a lot of them would be better to not do it in their home. Or that's their thinking anyway.
Oh, and you talked about the need, like I say, the wages are very low. The people already complain the cost is too high. If you raise the wages, it just raises the cost that much more too.
Yeah, I don't know what we do.
Yeah.
I don't really know the answer. So, total, we did, 479 inspections or surveys this year. So we had, 18 places open in Riley, 6 in Gary, 4 in Clay, and 8 Dickinson, and 8 in Pond. So we did do some illegal care complaints in Riley and Gary this year. And I believe are all getting licensed. So. Complaints went down. So exciting. So last year we had 73. This year we only had 57. So that was helpful. But they're still coming in. We've had 4 this month. We had 4 in January, and 2 in February come in. So you can just keep working those, and you can see the numbers of the substantiations of those that we actually find are true complaints. Clay County, those are the first complaints we've had in 2 years. So yeah. We don't get many complaints in Clay. We do have a lot of updates this year. Fingerprinting. So federal and state law require anyone that resides, works, or volunteers have a fingerprint-based background check. 5 years is this year. So 2024 is the time that everyone is having to renew that. So it's been a little chaotic between KDHE and providers and everyone figuring that out. So they are receiving a notification within a month of their expiration date of their background check. We did do a Zoom Monday night with all facilities, just kind of trying to walk them through that fingerprinting process because a lot of them haven't done it in 5 years.
Yeah, they do it all at once.
No, they're spreading them out over
okay.
there. Yes.
I
They are spreading them out over like the expiration date.
Okay.
So, and then we're still offering fingerprinting services at the health department. Also, exciting, we have some proposed regulations for centers and homes that are currently being reviewed at the Attorney General's office. So hopefully we're expecting any day for those to be published in the register, and then.
Have they actually been reviewed and they've actually had an opinion made on them?
Yes.
Wow, okay. So
So,
you've been waiting a long,
we've been
long
working
time.
for a long
Is that
time
what
on
you-
that.
That's what I thought.
I would say the only one, I think most of them are great. I think the only one I have some concern about is the ratio for infants is going up to 1 to 4. And in a home, an infant is considered at this point 18 months or younger. So, and that's gonna go down to 12 months. So you're looking at someone that could potentially have someone that has a 2-month-old, a 4-month-old, a 6-month-old, an 8-month-old, and 2 11-month-olds. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So that's really my only concern on that. And providers express concern. They're like, that's a lot for us. So I think a lot of providers know that's too much for me to handle. So I think the ones that think they can do it will do it, but a lot of them probably won't be doing that. So right now, the school age regulations are currently under review, and KDHE's been involving, stakeholders, partners, facilities, local licensing staff. Angie Hobbs, who mainly surveys our school age regulations, went to a meeting where they went over those and got everybody's opinions and ideas. So, and then they're looking at possibly rebranding that. When we school age, it would be called out of school time. So it'd be OST. So, which would be hard to get used to, but we'll see where that all comes out at. They also rebranded the childcare licensing surveyor to childcare licensing specialist. They wanted to encompass the position that we have so many more duties than just surveying. So right now we're back to doing site approvals for new facilities. So that makes us an architect, a construction worker, all those things. So, we really wear a lot of hats. So, so anyone that wants to apply a center or a school age program have to submit their site approvals to us before they can apply. Then once that we have their site approval back to them and they attend orientation, then they can apply. Also, some interesting news too is that the state fire marshal took back all of the fire inspections for new facilities and existing centers and preschools and after school programs. So I'm not sure how that's gonna look. In fact, Deb Ness sent me an article this week that she found that our local jurisdictions are working out of a 2018 code book, and the state's at a 2006. So we're not, everything's not all on the same page. So, we've already had a couple facilities that have said that the state's come out and being them on things that locals never beat them on. So I don't know how that's gonna look or how long that's gonna last, but just an FYI in case you guys would ever, get a call or anything like that. And then always a reminder to everyone that we do have the childcare early education portal. So that's off of the KDHE website, and that allows you to see the compliance history of licensed facilities for the last 3 years. So you can see anything that they've been cited on or a complaint that we substantiated. So we are always giving that out to parents to make sure that they're, checking facilities to see where they feel their kiddos are safe at. And that's all I have.
Did you? This was several weeks ago. One of the local legislatures was saying there was some kind of a movement for the state to take over licensing. I don't know how far. I mean, this was like, I don't know if they're still on track or if they got.
I do not think that will happen. That is a huge price ticket for the state. So
I think that on the counties, they're not going to take it over.
The whole point of us is that the KDHE wants the locals to be involved. They want us to be there for the providers. And, I just was talking to someone from KDHE yesterday. I mean, I've worked at KDHE in 2 capacities, and I know that KDHE cannot give to the communities what our local support is, or what our locals are doing. So, like the Zoom Monday night that we did for our providers and things like that, it probably wouldn't happen. So, we're being told it's probably not gonna go through, but just probably also based off money.
Yeah, that it doesn't affect them. But one thing, and I haven't heard any complaints, but he said that complaints are that Ryder County was one of the problems because they're too tough.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything like that. I'm just letting you know.
I think where this started was when we took over Pop County.
No.
I hate to say this on record, but Pop County was surveyed very poorly for a long time. So when we came in, we gave them a lot of grace. The first year we did a lot of consults that would have been sites in any other county, just to get them where they should be. So, I mean, if you look at our compliance checks and things like that, of who's not in compliance, we're struggling with Pot County, really struggling.
That's where this legislator is from.
Yeah.
But
And
I guess that
I've
correlates.
talked to him and he's actually asked me, well, why do you survey Riley County different from Pot? And I'm like, we don't. But we've surveyed Riley County for years and years and years.
They know,
Riley County
they know what to do.
Yes, they know the expectations. So, and I would love to have, I would love to have a conversation. You know, for him to tell me what he's heard so we can get, you know, like I don't want that. It's, you know, it's really been upsetting for me because it's been in the news, it's been everywhere. So, you know.
Well, if somebody's complaining about your work in that manner, that means you're probably doing something right. Yeah. Take it face value. Yeah.
Previous commissions had a lot of discussion on this before we took Pot and Geary County on. You'll remember that because the state was asking us to take them on because of the lack of service they were getting from their own health departments and because they were aware of our quality work over here. So
Yeah.
we worked directly
contract.
with the state, and the commission had concerns and we didn't want to be absorbed, and the state provides funding for it. So
That's what I was gonna say. They provide the funding to cover these extra.
yeah, and that's something we really checked on with Julie and prior to, because they called us and said, we need help in these two counties. Can you provide it? And we were pretty hesitant because we didn't want to subsidize other counties.
Yeah.
And so they came to us asking for help because of the level of service that we provide.
And then, you know, we've taken on 4 other counties, which I think speaks to our work, that KDHE's asked us to do that.
I tend to remember all 4 counties except for Clay County. It's always the one I tend to forget. Yeah. I don't know why, but it is.
No, they do a great job and they're very consistent across the board, so.
We try to do as much as we can. So there's always different things that come up. So one house isn't the same as another house, so
Yeah.
we can't always survey exactly the same.
No, yeah, especially the houses, everyone's different. There's, like I say, that can't, I hadn't thought it was difficult if their other kids leave something out that parents aren't keeping track, or whoever's running it needs to make sure that their kids are keeping things right.
Mhm. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too, Julie.
Take a motion.
Oh, yeah. I'll move to recess as the Board of Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, I can second that. It's been moved and seconded to recess as the Board of County Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commission. All in favor? Aye. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Phillips, Budget and Finance Officer, here to report our monthly financial reports. So first, we have economic development with revenue of $107,100 in January and expenditures being $84,542, bringing our unencumbered cash to $362,643.
That's what we would have basically for the rest of the year minus that July payout, which would be 84,000, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. So yeah, we've already done a lot of the transfers over. So you can see on the screen here, I can make this bigger, sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah, so we've already, done our appropriations. So they're all listed on here.
Okay, good to know.
Next is county building. For revenue, we brought in $175,365. Expenditures, we had $6,436, and then we also had $31,441 that was applied back to the 2023 year, bringing our unencumbered cash balance to $273,255. CIP, total revenue between just our regular revenue sources and our transfer from general fund, it was $5,704,266. And our expenditures were $182,100. And then we had an additional $41,727 that was applied back to the 2023 fiscal year, bringing our unencumbered cash balance to $18,038,129.
5-cent sales tax, obviously no revenue, but we did apply back $84,819 into the 2023 fiscal year, bringing our unencumbered cash balance to $6,475,677. And then we had the 0.2-cent sales tax. Our revenue for January was $212,079, bringing our unencumbered cash balance to $2,372,935. Any questions?
Should be one more month to complete a full year cycle on that in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, no.
Thanks, Brittany. Next commissioner, you have David Adams at 10:40. Hello, David.
Good morning.
I don't know why it's so strange. It's never been.
Technology.
The front door at Station 5 is to be installed. Should have started right about now.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yes, so probably got that taken care of.
So just the wayward generator.
The waiver generator and then now then our other, they came up last week and took pictures up in the attic.
Oh,
So
good question. You know, that kind of, I guess, makes sense. Much as anything else, if just nothing.
none of it really, yeah, it doesn't come together.
You know, not ever seen anything like that. Which I didn't, we're never really into smaller wood frame structures.
Right, sure.
We did, but it just didn't make sense.
Right. I'll be curious what they see with their pictures.
Yeah.
So I may run up there after we get done here and see who's up there and see if they can give you the insight.
Yeah. But not too late for the three. No, I just didn't.
One 62, good news, yeah. Okay. One 62. Passed out of committee favorably. Couple amendments.
Good, good.
And they added Crawford County. Yeah. Central County's part of it still too, is that something?
I'm assuming they will be, I mean, not part of this one, but some part of the yeah, because I think they were gonna go in and remove the sunset on there. Or remove it.
They have the urban designation, so it has to
Yeah.
be separate. Good. That's good news.
Where was it, Scott? So.
Thank you for your work on that.
No problem.
Yeah.
It's good to have people on the ground. Sure.
That started all the way back in June of 21, I think. It's been a process.
Yeah. For example, government lotteries.
Right?
There's no way you can track this stuff.
Yeah, not in real time between January and March.
That's what they want.
Yeah,
By design.
yeah, there's legislation for chickens, wants to do a lot of things in the dark, yeah.
It walks like a duck and looks like a duck. And
It's a rabbit.
you're rabbit.
Let's chat, check your meeting real quick on that. Okay, David.
All right, good morning, commissioners. David Adams, CMS Ambulance Director, and I'm here with a request to fill an open full-time EMT position within our department. This occurred due to a recent resignation from an employee. They had asked to stay PRN with us, but we don't have any openings for them. So, but we'll keep them in mind if we have one. So, just a reminder, this is a budgeted full-time position. They provide direct patient care and is assigned to an ambulance. The office will be responsible for working event standbys and other EMS-related functions. So, no adverse effects for our budget. However, if we fail to fill the opening, then that does create significant staffing challenges, and usually are filled with overtime from full-time people or our PRN as available. And then you should have the job description as well as the breakdown from the action form breakdown in your packet as well.
How does that position work in terms of shift?
24 hour shifts.
Okay.
So it's 24 hours a day, 10 days a month. So it comes out to 2,912 hours a year. So that's part of that 832 hours of overtime that is scheduled. That's part of their schedules.
That's training. Are we budgeted for 31?
Yeah, we budgeted for 31 hours for training. 8 of that being the county training day, and then the other for we try to do as much training as we can on duty, but there's just some we can't. So
So I don't know if your question was related to pay, but we budget 2,080 hours at regular pay, and we budget the last 1,080 hours at overtime pay. So if you see scrolls down a little bit, the number in there, that's how you get to that 99,000. Well, that's how you get to the 69,000 because.
Right. It's a little bit of both, but it was just kind of how that overlaps with the shift work there.
Sure.
But you're talking about overtime, obviously there's a gap somewhere that creates that need, so.
Yeah, it's scheduled overtime. We expect.
Yeah, right. Any way to try to work around that overtime aspect of things, I just.
Well, a big part of it stems from the way that the overtime laws are written. So police, for example, 56-hour weeks before they hit overtime. But EMS doesn't fall on that, even though they really have the same coverage need.
it's the same fire departments.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so part of that, our hands are tied because you've got to have the same 24-hour coverage, but we don't have the ability to not pay overtime for a certain amount of time. So like when these guys talk salary to recruits or to their current staff, they don't really talk that hourly rate. They talk an annual equivalent because that's
not, I mean.
Yeah, when you look at the hourly rate and people.
That's why I asked shift, because I mean,
work someplace else and make the same
That's not-
hourly rate, but you're not comparing apples to apples. So
Yeah, when you're telling me the turnover, now it kind of makes sense, because that's not. You're working almost a third more of the hours for that instead of.
you are, and it's a third more hours, but it's harder hours.
Well, sure.
And then when you factor in just the environment that you're in what you see, what you hear, what you smell, it's some people struggle with that pretty hard. And so
I mean, it's really 1.5 times hours of a regular full-time employee. So 3160 versus normal full-time employee, which is 2080. So that means we talk about this a lot. Is there a way that we can do it differently? Can we look at the whole system differently? Is anyone else looking at it differently? How do we get a bucket of hours that's 24/365 and a staff that then is scheduled and fits that and that you want to do? Nobody wants to come in for 5 hours or come in for a midnight to 7 a.m. shift or, I mean, that's going to be really difficult to staff too. So you can't staff it exactly like a factory does. You have to staff it more like police and fire staff theirs, but with a different legislative requirement.
Well, and like I say, you say, oh, they get paid for sleeping, yeah, but when the alarm goes off at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, they're not sleeping anymore.
They have to, I couldn't do it because it takes me a while before I'm smart enough to do what, to do anything, let alone, I'm not smart enough to do what they do anyway.
I'm not smart enough to do that when I'm conscious half the time, so yeah.
I don't, and the sleeping part, which you don't, I never slept well. And then when I became a ship captain, I was required, I looked after everybody on all calls. I never slept. I mean, very rarely. And I still don't sleep to this day. I've been out of that for 8 years and, if I get 6 hours a night of sleep, I'm thrilled just because it really changes it's into your DNA.
You can't get into the deep sleep.
That you have to be able to be awake,
But also in the years, we put a lot of mental health in these positions. We put a lot of self-care in this because truthfully, I don't like to hear that. You guys know that does not make a productive person. So to get to the point where they can get up and they can respond and they can be smart about the emergency that's happening, we really focus on them being able to sleep. So that's not a negative thing. I don't want to talk to the community and say it's negative because you want them to be at their best when they respond.
I mean, I can't speak for every single person in your department, but the majority of ones that do speak to, they are geared a little bit differently than they wouldn't be doing it.
They are,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so they're unique, and when I say unique, I mean that in the best possible way. It takes a unique person to do what they
I
do,
agree,
so.
but I want to educate people about the value of when they are not working, they rest. And it's kind of the same military mindset, when you're not on, you're at rest because you take advantage of whatever moment you can. And they're a little more geared like that. They're emergency responders, but we don't want I want to educate people that is to our benefit as well. Not to
It has to be, I mean, you're talking about being, running the calls, but so you're talking about patient care and patient care mistakes or lack, but we're also about driving and you're on highways and there's so much into that, So, yeah, like you said, Commissioner, try to wake up and be out the door, be dressed and out the door in 2 minutes. And then perform at the level that people expect you to perform.
Oh, it's life saving.
It is. And so so we absolutely encourage, we call it downtime. Once things are done, you got your stuff you have to take care of. We encourage that, because we go to Topeka 1.5, 2 times a day, to Topeka, Kansas City, Wichita. And a lot of times that's at night. And, and so we encourage, and we have certain stations who do those, certain stations who don't, but we encourage that downtime, and so we do everything we can to allow them to have that time so that when they have to wake up and go to the hospital, pick me up, take them to KU Med or Children's Mercy or Stormontville, wherever it is, that we can do something safely.
That's one of the guys, it's a charity term, but the people can do that because.
Absolutely.
I couldn't do it if I was awake, but they can do it in the middle of the night.
Oh, I've got stories when I was happy to do that. I'm not going to share it here that I went, oh, yeah.
Clancy's like, please stop.
That's statute of limitations.
No, nothing.
That's when he was at the hospital.
Yeah, nothing like that, but it was just, I mean, one.
We have to second guess giving that KFC award here in a few weeks.
Coming back from someplace in Kansas City, and I was in the passenger seat and we always said, you know, you have to stay awake to help your driver and we were both awake and we looked up and we had missed both Manhattan exits and we were in Junction City. You know, going, okay, well, we stayed in our lane, we haven't, you know, but it's like, but so that's why, because back then it was, you can't sleep till after bedtime.
Oh.
You know, and so we had to change that mindset, you know, so people could be rested.
We told you didn't have to tell us a story.
I know.
I mean, ending up in Junction City probably wouldn't want to make you want to sleep either, would it?
I didn't say that.
I'm just kidding.
When I was working in Salina, and that was during the day, you know, just keep going down the highway, and I missed, because I had turned to Junction City down to go around, and I was going by, and all of a sudden I was going, this doesn't look familiar, and then I saw the mile marker, I went, oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I've done that.
I think everybody had.
We're all human.
All right, well, I moved to approve, staff to approve, to fill the position.
I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded to approve filling the position in the EMS ambulance department. All in favor?
Aye. Vote please sign.
Where's Bill? You got a second? I got a question.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that was the last item on this morning's agenda, so that's all I've got. Anything else? Okay.
I move to adjourn the February 8th meeting.
Okay, I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the February 8th meeting of the Riley County Commission. All those in favor? Aye.
Everyone have a good weekend.